I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is
I'm the
that
sad
is a
clown.
sad clown.
Proud of my address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
All right, so this is I'm excited for all of these. Let's be clear, right? I think I start with the same intro, but try to get creative with how I introduce a guy, and this is another one of our PAX members that is influencing the minds of children in a positive way, right? Through being a teacher and a wrestling coach, and I think I've just really enjoyed. Getting to be next to you in the gloom. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to identify you versus your brother. So, if you have any tips for guys on that, but
Yeah. The only tip I got is, just most of our buddies that are around us a lot, they kind of, whether it's a voice thing, whether it's a haircut,
mannerisms.
Yeah, mannerisms a little bit, but a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's I thought you were Scott," and stuff like that, or Double Dip, and it is still amazes me that we still have our own circles and stuff, and I'll have people that, like, it happened a week and a half ago. This mom and this girl were like, I was watching a baseball game, and they're like in front of me doing this, and I'm like, I look behind me, I'm like, what is going on here? And so they kind of turned around and was like looking at me weird. And then they came over and like, come on, you know us, Scott. And I'm like, I am his twin brother, Chris. I don't know who you're talking about, but it was one of the my brother's oldest daughter softball teammate.
Oh, nice.
So it was just kind of funny that we have those things. Sometimes I just play it off like I'm him, and I roll with it, which is fun too. And he'll say, "Hey, have you talked to so and so? Did you tell him I'd be there?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I did." Well, it's fun. We have games with it sometime.
I love it. Well, if the listeners haven't figured out, we have the better looking of the two brothers, right? Fun Dip.
I don't know. He's pretty good looking.
It's good to see you, man. Hey, we love to start these off, and Pony and I have been talking about, do we add new questions, that sort of thing, but we just like the format. And so we want to start it off with, who EH'd you? How'd you get started with F3? And then how'd you get the name Fun Dip? I don't think I know that story, and I didn't get a chance to be there for your.
Yeah. So first off, easy EH by ear tag, because ear tag, my brother and a few other guys used to work out at the Y. And when COVID hit, they had to kind of shut things down, and I'm like, I still want to be fit and work out. So I started working out at the high school, and then ear tag kind of was talking to my brother and I about doing this. And my brother went out a week before I did, because I was out of town that weekend. And when I showed up, there was about, 15, 16 guys there at the pit. And I went in the middle, and tell us about yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm, from California, I'm wrestling coach, teacher. And so some things started flowing out. And one guy was like, oh no, it's got to go with his brother Double Dip. It's got to be some kind of dip. And so somebody, I don't even know who, came up with Fun Dip, and they're like, oh, that's a funny name. Let's just go with Fun Dip. Truth be told, if my older brother ever shows up, he's in the military station down in St. Louis. He's about 2 years older than Scott and I, but he looks nothing like us. He's like 6'1", 215, big guy. And Duracell said, hey, if you guys have a brother, let's call him Skinny Dip.
Oh, nice.
That may have happened. We'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love that, man. As a wrestler and a wrestling coach and, guy that works out, what'd you think of that first workout? Was it challenging or?
No, I mean, well, it was up my alley. I think at that point in my life, I was struggling between, what I've kind of always done with weights and things, and I kind of wanted more of a CrossFit type beat down. And F3 after the first time going, and then I kept regularly going a lot after that. It just kind of gravitated me into this feeling of fellowship, and I'm a Christian individual, and we go to church, and I'm actually heading out tomorrow with my wife to an FCA marriage retreat, and it's F3 has been such a breath of fresh air for me as I get older.
Yeah.
I don't have to be doing power cleans or putting a bunch of weight on my back or anything like that. And I love the challenges that we have amongst PAX members and around Omaha and such, and it didn't take me long I had 2 trips within last year. And one was in California. We went back to see my parents, or my wife's parents in Sacramento.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, I'll look them up. I'll see what what do they have for F3. And I'm like, okay, I had one F3 shirt at the time. I'm like, hey, I'm going to wear my F3 shirt and wake up. My mother-in-law thought I was absolutely nuts. I had to borrow her car since we flew out there. And so I drove up into this area, and it said on my map that it was at a church. And I'm at this church, and I'm like looking around, driving around, and sure enough, Fanny Pack, who was leading the workout, was flagged me down, and he said, "Are you here for the F3 workout?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm out of towner, and oh, we're back here, we're back behind." Sure enough, I go back there, and they have like med balls and ropes and battle ropes, and they're doing merkins and a bunch of stuff, and
Nice.
and it was they opened their arms. They were hugging me at the end. It was such a cool kind of following.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading the Free to Lead at the time, and the camaraderie that you get from when you're in high school, when you're playing high school sports, and then in college when you have your group of friends and you're hanging out and you're doing all these things, and then you get into work and you have these work buddies, and you may move different areas. Like we moved from California to here,
Yeah.
and it was tough to find that team aspect among guys your age.
Yeah.
And F3 really kind of gave that to me, and I really felt it when I went there. But did the workout, took a big picture at the end. It was awesome. There's about 20 guys, really funny, getting to know them. And my second trip was out in Charleston. I was out there for a golf outing with some guys, and Knobs was telling me, "Oh man, you got to eat at this place. You got to go here and golf at this place." And I'm like, "Oh, whoa, slow your roll. I've never been there. The guy's putting it on, whatever." But got some good, feelings on food from him, and golfed a little bit. And obviously those guys were drinking and stuff. And I'm like, "Hey, I gotta wake up early in the morning. I want to go to a beatdown." And wound up calling an Uber, setting it up the night before, picking me up at 4:45 in the AM. This guy, I thought I was absolutely crazy, and drove me right outside, or right next to the park, next to the Citadel, University of Citadel University. Anyway, old school, right in Charleston there. And sure enough, I'm running around trying to see where the flag is, and sure enough, ran into the only guy out there, and he's like, "Hey, I asked him, I go, hey, you F3, you know, where's the beat down? Where's this thing? Oh, yeah, we do it over here. And I followed him, talked to him a little bit. There was only 4 guys that showed up. And I guess they were doing a couple other events in a couple other different locations, but 4 guys were there. And we just kind of did a string of pearls and getting to know them. Went ahead and had cafeteria after that. They thought it was weird that I had hot chocolate, which I do all the time. Okay. Actually, now, if it's Starbucks, I normally ask, Chernobyl's big on this, kids. I want a kid size hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So that's a running joke now. But those guys instant brotherhood, instant, this culture that F3 has around the nation is just contagious. And me bringing in just a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, just kind of brings fuel to that fire.
Yeah, man, I that's phenomenal. I think was that early? That was all early on, or I guess
it was. I went to California. That was after that was within my first year.
Yeah.
So I joined in April. My brother got me the book for a Christmas present that year. And then I guess it was after that year. So we went in June back to see my in-laws.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then the golfing trip was about 6 months after that. So.
Got it. Yeah, but at least within that first year or so, you got to feel there is a new. So we just added a Slack channel, maybe a public service announcement here for downrange.
Downrange. Yeah.
Some posting there, and there's I guess somebody, I can't remember where the guy's from that made this, but there's a F3 near me, like web app, and you can it looks at your location and just will find whatever F3 is closest to you, which is pretty cool. But so tell me, so you're a fit guy, right? So I guess from a first F perspective, I mean, you found something that would sort of help you accelerate, help you at least maintain fitness wise. But has that always been the case for you from a fitness perspective, or has there been any challenges there?
I guess the only no, I mean, not really. I mean, I've always been a pretty fit guy. But I enjoy bringing people out. Like all my wrestling coaches are part of, well, except for one, which I've been trying to get out. I got to keep EH and him do F3.
Okay.
And it's I like working out with them. I like hanging out with those guys. But I think from an F3 standpoint, and looking at the fitness level, I think for me, and I've gone through some a lot of changes in the last couple of years, and I think one of the biggest ones, and I mentioned this in one of my COTs. I was at the main stage about a month ago when they were doing the whole brother thing, and I got a book from one of my wrestling coaches, and the book is called The 4 Principles, and it talks about things that you can't control, basically. And I know we say, hey, you can't control what you can't control, but in my life, even with my family and with my classroom, I have an issue with like holding control and keeping control, and I want things to happen a certain way, and at the end of the day, it leads to a lot of frustration and some anger on my end. And I think through the fellowship and going through Q Source has really kind of helped me tap into this idea that I don't have to control everything. And I can take, a day off here and there. I don't have to show up every single day of the week for fitness. I can be there in the gloom and still have that balance. But it's my faith and fitness is always there, but that fellowship is one of the pieces that was really kind of missing. And I think having that that though the brothers in the gloom kind of helped me out with that discipline of my anger and control, because I've had beatdowns where it's raining. Okay, you can't do the things that you had on the list. Okay, you know, you got, you know, so and so and so and so, or you don't have the numbers to do something. Life changes. Yeah, and you got to roll with it. And just hearing what other PAX members go through and what they say, it inspires me, and inspires me to continue to come out too. Yeah, I think that's the big thing on my end. Yeah, man, I love that. And I'm curious your journey. How did you go from, you know, you got involved in the group, but how did those relationships transform? I guess kind of a silly question would be, did you go to cafeteria at the start, or did you think like, well, I can't go because I don't drink coffee? Or how did that? Yeah, I was like, well, okay, it's for coffee people. I'm not a coffee guy, so I wouldn't show up. But you know, at the very beginning, it was just, I mean, obviously, I know a lot of people say this, that, you know, you go to F3 for the fitness to start, and you stay for the fellowship and faith. Yeah. And the cafeteria really gives PAX members that opportunity to kind of talk and open up about different things. And sometimes I'll bring that home and ask my wife a question, and she goes, well, did you get that from F3? Yeah. And stuff. But it was actually during the cafeterias inspired me to open up Mount Olympus. Yeah. You know, talking with JC, talking with Firewalker, and then obviously with my brother Double Dip, you know, just kind of seeing, okay, what do we got to do? Oh, you need something I love the danger zone. The DZ is where I did my BQ. I mean, I love the pre-run and the workout and everything that's there. And I had to be like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this. I got to relieve the pressure there. I got to find a spot somewhere close. I looked at a few different areas, and I settled on Liberty. I drove by it about 100 times, and it didn't hit me until I was driving on Lincoln Street, going east up to, I think it's 106th Street, and looking up at nighttime, I saw the big gym that's up there, and it's got the lights, and it reminded me of, you know, the Coliseum, the pillars of that. And I was like, gosh, I'm a history guy. I want something historic. And then I quickly stopped. I pulled off to the side of the road, and I went through Twitter. I go, is there an F3 Mount Olympus? Is there someone here? Please don't make sure that's not on there. And I was like, I remember like it was yesterday. I didn't see it on there. And I go, okay, I got to text Jean-Claude and Firewalker, make sure it's good to go. I need to tag this. I don't want it to open up somewhere else. And they're like, yeah, go ahead and get that. And so I got it. And I was like, man, this is awesome. This is great. And the coupon thing was just a no-brainer too. Yeah. You know, we don't have one down here in Sarpy. I wanted to bring something new, something for those Clydesdales, something for, you know, that extra beat down that guys want, and doing tough workouts. But so you know, that whole experience, you know, I could be a head wrestling coach for another 15 years, and I wouldn't have that experience of starting something new from scratch. You know, everything that goes into starting a new site, and the energy it takes, and the communication and stuff. It's not that it's difficult work, but you got to get outside your comfort zone. I think I met Folsom at the Brickyard to talk to him about the flag. Yeah. I talked to who did a couple guys worked on the emblem and the artwork for Mount Olympus, and then, I mean, it's just a multitude of I mean, I'm going all these different beatdowns trying to get ideas and things. Yeah. And then obviously talking to them afterwards is always a good opportunity. So just kind of getting some things nailed down. I think I bought a couple of bottles of bourbon or whiskey for those guys as it went through. Yeah. And then Huffy, obviously, with all the bricks he he paints, had to get a brick made and
Yeah.
everything else. So it's just kind of,
Yeah, it is funny. It does take a village, right? And I mean, there's so much to unpack in that journey, but just on this, leadership piece, and it sounds like too, maybe even like from your VQ and leading workouts and then leading the site. I mean, do you feel like doing those things maybe, multiple times and learning from those, is that what you're kind of saying? It sounds like maybe help with some of the desire to control and kind of letting go, or
yes. I mean, being a site Q, you're letting other people run your site. And, I didn't miss a whole day, any week, in which I thought, I was like, there's no way. I never worked out in the wintertime.
Okay.
Outside, never did. And went out a few times, more than a few times in the winter a year ago. And then I was like, okay, I got to make the step. And obviously I always try to push myself mentally. And that was a big hurdle to overcome. But then obviously giving up control to be like, okay, you're running the beat down. I'm here to support you. And however that goes. And so, yeah, absolutely. My wife, always continues to support me and my kids, and they love what F3's done with me. And, it can, even if people think that they have nothing to improve on, there's always something that they can get better at.
Yeah, come on out. We'll find it for you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever that area may be.
Yeah. Hey, I'm curious your thoughts on this too, because we have had guys come out that are maybe in CrossFit or really fit, right? And they do an F3 workout and they kind of say, and it's not the norm, right? But we've had guys come out and they're like, well, it wasn't that challenging, so I'm gonna go back to the gym or back to whatever. But I see you as somebody, I mean, you've found all of the challenges and the IPCs and the apexes, and so talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, how have you been able to just keep accelerating it, your fitness even beyond what maybe most people are doing?
Yeah, shoot. Gosh. Yeah, you know what? IPC, the first time I did it, I was only in for, I don't know, a few months. And then people started talking about this IPC Iron Packs Challenge. Okay, whoop-dee, la-di-da. And then people are like, yeah, no, it's official. You record your stuff, you put your things down. And my competitiveness is through the roof on anything. I always talk to my students in class. One of the first little icebreakers I do, I say, okay, pick, one word that, really kind of describes, like I'll do this with you. Okay. Give me one word that describes you in your entirety. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're still the same person.
Oh man, it put me on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot.
It's just one word, huh?
One word. I'll give you mine so you can kind of go off it. Mine has to be, and this is going off of an identical twin brother. Mine has to be competitiveness.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm playing, basketball with my son, or I'm going to be competitive. Now I dial things down, and there's a couple of war stories from college that we can get into later, but I just have, and maybe that kind of leads me to a little bit of get after itness.
Yeah.
But just highly competitive on a lot of fronts.
I think
that's what I would describe, because I get kids that say, "Oh yeah, I'm competitive." I go, "Okay, okay, you have to jump from there to there. We'll just do a broad jump, and we'll see if you beat me." And then I'll beat him, and I say, "Okay, you improve upon that. You can jump higher than that." And he goes, "Nah, I'm going to waste too much energy." Or I go, "Then you're not competitive." And so it's it's a rolling thing. And so what's your word? What do you got?
I don't know. I think my word for the year of who I want to be is stillness, right? That's my word for the year. But who I probably am is I probably have to choose like obsessive, right? I'm just like, get fixated, which ties into the control piece.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That's really good. I like that.
So yeah, to get back to the question at hand, how do those things, push me to be able to do more as a fitness thing. Like today, I texted Chernobyl and Double Dip. I said, hey, tomorrow, meet me at the pit, 4:45. Bring your vest. We're doing a full-on Murph before Sandlot. And I've done one before, but the Murphs that we do and the Smurfs that we do aren't the same.
Yeah.
And but to do a full-on Murph, I think we finished with 41 minutes, I think 41 minutes and 30 seconds, something like that. And it was good. We had a good pace. Ran the first mile pretty quick, and then hammered out the pull-ups, push-ups, and air squats mile. So it was fun. And then I was shot on the run today for the Sandlot, and I'm like, it always puts things into perspective to me. Like, I know where my capacity is, and maybe there's other PAX members that are down here as far as their fitness level, but they're working just up to that, the level that I am, heart rate, all this stuff. And I think F3 and being able to understand that, and being in my coaching background, being able to motivate and push and pick up the 6 is huge. It's funny now that I've been a little over 2 years into F3. I've made my mission statement on the team, and they recite it before every practice, every tournament, every meet. I don't even have to say it anymore. Yeah. We're starting to change some of the lingo that we have to some of the F3 lingo. And it's really engulfed everything that I do and made it 10 times better.
That's cool.
When I thought, I was like, I got this. I'm a coach, a varsity head coach for 12, 13 years. I got this in a bag. And you know what? It just proves that there's always stuff that you can learn and change and adapt. Adaptability is huge.
Yeah, man, that's cool. So you're applying some of your leadership from F3 to your wrestling team, which is awesome.
Oh man, and you know what? We brought out some of the kids are curious, and they're like, and we got a few of them out. Of course, some of them are like, oh, that's too early. I go, then there's your limitation. Yeah. There's your limitation on your growth. Once you start making these excuses and limitations on yourself for growth, well, then you're not going to have these growth periods. And I get that growth is a up and down scale. I get that. Sometimes we get to a place where you're comfortable and you're like, well, this next big hump is a little stress. Yeah. It's tough for me. Yeah. But you got to get through it. I think on our 40th birthday, Scott and I jumped out of an airplane. We went skydiving. And I know that, I don't know what our next thing is, maybe a tattoo. I don't know. Yeah. My brother and I always go back and forth on, oh man, hey, let's do this. Let's do a full-on cobra bite up here, wrapping around the arm, around with a tail ending around your wrist, and just, oh my God, that'd be sweet. And then I go back and I go, hey, let's go straight up chainmail, gladiatorial arm, wrist and everything. I mean, just a plate of armor. I mean, just funny stuff. But, those kind of stories happen in the glue. Those kind of conversations happen at cafeteria. You can talk to the people you work with, and it's normally, hi, hello, how's it going? How's your weekend? And you don't get into, how you're feeling or what's going on at home. And people are free to talk about some of those things. And, I find out more about, that all of us are broken in some shape or form. Yeah. We're all struggling with various things, whether we say it out loud or not. And F3 really kind of gives that opportunity for kids, or gives the opportunity for adults to be able to do that. In a comfortable environment. There's no judging going on. Mm-hmm. There's only people that are willing to lend out their hand and help. So that's one of the biggest things that keeps me coming out and keeps me EH and people. Though I will tell you this, Blake, it's tougher for somebody that is really fit to EH somebody than it is for somebody that's not so athletically fit. I'm telling you that right now, because everybody looks at me at my school and they're like, no. The crazy stuff you do, I'm not doing that. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can go at your own pace. It's free lead, man.
Yeah. If you're crazy, they're like, I'm not coming to your crazy morning.
They all think we're crazy. I keep hounding our principal at our school to come out, because I know the principal at Feeney. He's principal. He comes out. So I'm trying to keep working on him.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, because you've got all these different people, right, from all these different walks of life that we would maybe never interact with, right? But in the gloom, we do, and we get down to this like really deep level, and from my experience, it's like fairly quick, fairly early on in the relationship. And I do. You mentioned Q Source a little bit earlier, and you also mentioned going on a retreat with your wife or your M, and so just want to kind of get your thoughts on maybe Concentrica. I guess you're married. How many kids do you have? What has the Concentrica been a helpful model for you?
Yo, my gosh, yeah. So happily married, going on 13 years.
Wow. Awesome.
And we have 3 kids. We have 10, Maverick. Macy is our 8-year-old, and then McCoy is our 5-year-old.
Okay.
And I think that everything from Q Source that we talk about, just about either getting right, staying right, those types of things, your M is there with you. And my wife and I, we've been doing FCA. FCA is a Fellowship for Christian Athletes. It's a coach's, and I would love for anybody to go. It's pretty cheap, considering you're staying at the Embassy Suites in Lincoln. It's nationwide, so there's people that come around from different states, and it's our time to kind of get together, break open the Bible, and really kind of talk about what's going on in our lives, where it's not like kids. Like, you can get in a rut, like your work, you talk to the same people. Hey, how's things going? How was the weekend? How are the Huskers? Okay. You can talk that off, people's ear off with that stuff. But when you look at Q Source and some of the things that kind of get in there with how do you treat your M? How do you deal with your kids? How are you formulating or getting them to have some leadership roles in the family? What role do you have as a father? Has been huge. And to be honest with you, every single one of my kids has gone to a beatdown, and they love it. They see the energy that I bring. My wife even gave me a big hug. I guess it's been 3 or 4 weeks since I passed the shovel flag off to G-string, and she just gave me a hug, and she says, "You want to talk about it?" And I was like, "No." So it's F3 is definitely entwined into our family just after a few years. My wife sees the benefit of it, and the things that we talk about. And my wife has now joined. Is it FIFA? What is it?
FIA.
Yeah. She's joined FIA. And this is somebody that was an athlete in college, but since kids hasn't worked out a whole lot.
Yeah.
And now she's kind of getting back into it, and she's got a couple friends, and she's been doing that thing, and loving life, and she enjoys it. And now she's doing some things, which is great.
Yeah.
But the Q Source provides a great opportunity for PAX members to bounce ideas off, talk about their struggles, and in essence, understand that they're not alone in the problems that they have with their M or with their kids of various degrees. Sometimes some of the kids are in high school, some of the kids are in middle school or in grade school. So that really I remember my first Q source that I went to, I kind of kept my mouth shut a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, just listen to all the different things. And a lot of it's centered around business type stuff. What do you do with your team and things? But I remember Swiper just talking about all, the different things that he does with his team and how he motivates them, and how F3 has and the principles of free to lead and looking at some of the ideas in Q source just kind of really have interjected in his work. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I gonna do that in mine? And slowly but surely, the cream rises to the top, and really kind of gets you going. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. I Dredd used to do the podcast talking about the Q source stuff, and you mentioned just being a no judgment zone, right? Dredd would always say, "We don't judge people, we just observe and criticize." I always thought that was funny, but with the Q source, right? It's like it gets us as men talking about things that guys don't normally talk about, right? And then, like you said, just bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think the big thing for me is like, you've got this content and you're going through it together, but there's not really, there's not really anyone saying this is the one way to do this, or, it's like, here's the model, and what did this look like in your life, compared to the guys that you're next to, shoulder to shoulder. So I love that. Right. I do want to get your thoughts on that third F piece. I know we kind of been bouncing around a lot. I love it, just the natural conversation here. But I do want to hear about your faith and just kind of your journey there. Would also love, I don't know what you've been through, but I have no doubt that your life has been impactful, or that guys could learn a lot from you. So if you have anything part of your life that you would share, would love to hear that too.
I think that. My faith has been, I've always I was born and raised Catholic. My mom and my grandma Teresa, who's passed, always kind of got us kids going. And, but my dad never really was a faith-based individual. And I think early on, I didn't really know what was going on. I kind of went to church for the donut at the end. And even when through middle school and high school, we would go every once in a while, but athletics, kind of always kind of took it over. And it really wasn't until I got to UNL where I met a couple of guys. One guy in particular, Matt Maher, who is the and I'll get his title wrong, I'm not even going to say it. He's one of the guys at UNO. He just finished his first year. He's an athletic director over there. And he was one of the guys that was like, hey, why don't you, come to Mass with me, And I'm like, I just was out all night Saturday. Fine, I'll get up, and started going to church there. And I never knew where it was going to lead. And when I graduated, I went back to California, and they had a program. I graduated with a Soul Studies, Bachelor of Arts, in emphasis to Soul Studies. And California has this Cal State Teach program where you can teach while earning the rest of your credentials. So people that have degrees, they can go ahead and get their credential that way. And lo and behold, I met this gal out downtown. It was after a Sharks hockey game, and I was out with a couple of buddies, and I met her. She was nice, and she and I started talking back and forth. And she was a fourth grade teacher at St. Thomas or St. Martin of Tours. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I want to be a teacher. I want to do all these things. And that was towards the playoff time. So maybe towards the end of winter time. And sure enough, she goes, why don't you come by my classroom and you can help me put away some stuff and meet the principal? And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you won't come by. You won't remember this at all, Chris. And I'm like, hey, come on now. Don't sell me short.
Yeah.
So went there. She was setting up her class and doing some things, and met the principal, and she gave me my first shot as a sixth grade teacher, and went through the Cal State Teach program for a few years there. And it being at a Catholic school, we always had church, and it really started to grow on me there. Um, but it was kind of, I didn't know if the Catholic Church was right for me. I moved over to the high school, because St. Martin Tours is a stepping stone to a lot of the Catholic schools in the Bay Area. Moved over to Archbishop Mitty, and there is where I really kind of found a lot of my faith, just from the talks that I had with the high school kids, with some of my wrestlers. I had a wrestler by the name of John McCarthy. He had it was probably my fourth year as a head coach. It was my first, and I'm only 29 at the time. And I met his dad, met his family a lot. They'd always come to everything. He was a senior, so he's been with me 4 years. And he lost his dad from cardiac arrest. Probably within the first week or two of practice. And he came calling. He said, "Hey, coach, can I come over?" I go, "Yes, absolutely." Came over to my house. I met outside. I hugged him. I bawled. And he's like, "Hey, from here on out, I need a dad. I need a father figure." And I didn't really feel that, before that. You have relationships with students, but when something happens to them and they come to you where they feel vulnerable in that sense, it really is an emotional roller coaster. You want to just bend over backwards and help them out as much as you can. And it was an emotional time for me because I know what his dad would have wanted him to do, and he supported wrestling the whole time. And I remember at sections, he placed, and his dad, one of the things that he really wanted, he wanted to see his son place at sections and move on. And that last match, he got his hand raised. I think he took third, and he just came over to me, and we both just bawled. Yeah. And people are looking at us like I'm trying to watch, and I'm not a crier. Yeah. I'm not a crier. But I get emotional with my wrestlers, and with those guys that put that much sweat, blood, it's an emotional roller coaster, and I've really found faith through those young people, and it drives me to be a better coach, better person, seeking God's blessing and faith. And it's helped me. We had a couple of kids. I've had a few lose their dads, and then I become their male figure in their life, and trying to help them. That's where my faith grew stronger. And then obviously with my and us being on the same page and being Christian, and praying with our kids at dinner time. And I know with my son Maverick, he started wrestling a few years ago, and we started a tradition that before we go in a gym, we always pray out in the car, and we pray that everybody competes, our opponents and us. We compete with full hearts, lots of effort, in your name, and we hope that nobody gets hurt or injured, and we just hope that we can do our best. And
that's cool.
Now it's like sometimes, we're in a hurry, we got to get in. He goes, "Dad, no, we're praying." So that also really kind of hits my heart a little bit, and that I'm kind of passing that on, that he feels that faith, that we're not alone. We're not alone, regardless of what dark place that we're in. there's always somebody watching us. If we believe in their way and the path that he has set for us, that we can, we can make it. We can make it through.
I love that, man. It's so cool to hear just how you mentioned before, I think we started recording, right? You're the same guy at the grocery store, in the classroom, and in the gloom, and just seeing that shine through, and how you lead your family and the kids at school is really awesome. I'm curious, when you think about just all of those like interactions, right? And and within F3, as you're getting to know guys or going to different activities, do you feel like, have you had a chance to like continue growing your faith in F3, or maybe even like, I don't know, sharing your faith, or what's that been like within the group?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely open about sharing my faith through those guys and telling them, various things. It's amazing that that a lot of the guys have, this faith-based understanding, but maybe they don't necessarily have all the context or the knowledge of the Bible, or some of the teachings that go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I don't know if I've hugged more males in the last 2 years than I ever have in the gloom. But it's something that the faith is there. I guess I see it when we do, the service projects. Being a part of those things it is a blessing. I know I always tell my kids, and we'll do various things around our community, and even with our wrestling team too. It's that community involvement. When you see young people doing something out of their own time, that is a blessing. Or our guys, I know Knobs is always saying, hey, give whatever you can give. If it's time, give time. If it's money, give money. If it's your leadership, give your leadership.
Yeah.
And we belong to the Water's Edge, which is up by Harrison 196th Street, and we love our church. I think my faith continues to grow the more I see people struggle and find a way through it. And deal with it's probably a bad way of saying it, but like with losses, like we've had people lose their dad. I bawled after Swiper lost his dad, and it's those stories that you hug, and you're there for them. I remember giving ICB, send him a prayer emoji, and getting a little bit teared up because of, what if, something like this happened, is going, with one of my kids.
Yeah.
How would I want someone to respond? And then I think about, well, then what do I need to do about that?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing in the gloom as far as the faith piece. But I mean, that faith is powerful, and being able to share that with other people is important.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, right, just hearing somebody sharing honestly what they're going through helps you to, at least for me, it helps me to stop thinking about what I think my problems are, and then you're really quickly, you're like, okay, I need to be thinking more about other people, because everybody else has got stuff going on too. And, it's so easy to just get focused on ourselves. I did want to get, a few other questions for you, because, this may be our most off script episode, probably because Pony's not here. But no, seriously though, I do want to just get your thoughts on G-String and just sort of the succession planning and how you selected him to take over Mount Olympus.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd have to say, and you know what, I was going to say this at the pass, but we were running out of time and it was a little too long. I had it in my script, and so he comes out to the sanitarium, and Duraso's like G-string, and everybody's like, okay, G-string, and we didn't really get time to talk and things, but so a few weeks after that, he comes out to the Mount Olympus, and he's like, hey, I got this, jacket drive I'm doing. Okay, I got this jacket drive, any barely used stuff, small stuff that doesn't fit your kids, whatever. And I'm like, gosh, darn, I want to donate to that. And so I went up to my closet and grabbed a few things, and told my wife, hey, kids have any old jackets? Okay, grabbed a few of those, and I remember giving them to him. And one of the jackets was a nice North Face jacket. I bought this North Face jacket like years ago, and I only wore it a few times, and it kind of fit me wrong, and regardless, probably too big. I don't know. Anywho,
didn't accentuate the biceps quite right, or
it didn't. So I give it to him, and he goes, I noticed. So I give it to him, and I turn around, and then I turn around and go back to my car to get a sip of water because it was before the beat down, and I turn back, and here he is. He's sifting through the jackets, and I see this pile of jackets, and he's got all these jackets there, and he puts all the jackets I just gave him on there, but that North Face jacket he puts in the front seat. And I was like, I go, whoa, what's going on with there? He goes, sorry, I didn't want you to see that. This is a nice jacket. I think I could wear it for work. So I was like, that is a guy want lead in this.
That's funny
aspect. And no, we talked multiple times, and he's a very strong PAX member, and getting to know him and his kids and his work and the kind of guy he is. He's a top notch, and I wanted someone that had the same kind of energy I bring, and I wanted somebody that was able to bring in some big dogs. By the way, we got Black Lung coming to Mount Olympus, leading an epic beatdown at the end of August, I believe. You need to be there for that.
Yeah, nice.
Have you worked out with him before?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's like the 5-time Trek the Tower winner, and
he is a beast. So So I told G-String he needs to come and he needs to make I want to die.
Yeah,
I want to die out there. So he's getting that, but I keep giving him ideas, and he's running with it. But, mainly I wanted someone that had the energy, had the ingenuity, was ready for it. And G-String just checked all those boxes
nice.
for Mount Olympus. So
nice.
I know I asked him one last question. I asked him a question. I go, hey, if it was between this site or any other site, would you take it? And he goes, you know what? I would probably take Mount Olympus. I love this site. I go, okay, fine. So
then you're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Now you get to carry this flag for the next year. Good job.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's good. The other question we've been asking guys is this idea of, what's something that you thought was important before you started F3, and what's something now that is more important? Anything come to mind?
Well, I will say that before, I thought in my fitness or in my, athletic career that, I want to be the guy that be able to do everything, to be able to, be first in those, to be able to compete. And I think that competitiveness still kind of is me, but it is not why I do it anymore. I think my real, as I've been doing F3, it's now joy. It's moved to joyful. I do it for the joy. I do it for, to be around those PAX members, to talk and joke and laugh. And that's another thing that's, that people don't bring up a lot. I mean, the laughter that happens in a beatdown at the beginning, at the end, is also something that's really cool and fun. I mean, Knobs is always making crack jokes. God, Duracell is a riot. I saw his cast the other day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But there's so many PAX members that are funny out there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I agree. As a fellow kind of control person, I need people to help me laugh, right? I'm not always laughing on my own, or even having fun. Sometimes it's hard for me by myself. So it's good. What right. We talked about, I think we've covered all three F's, and we've gotten really a good glimpse of your story, your leadership, and just your life, which is phenomenal, man. It's just cool to hear how your life has gone. So thanks for sharing all of that. I am curious if there's anything else from your perspective. Maybe it's advice for guys, or anything else that you feel like you've learned along the way that you feel like others could learn from, or anything else that you feel like sharing.
I mean, I think well, first off, thanks for inviting me on this thing. It's awesome. I feel like I'm a big time guy. You also included me on the Legacy Leadership. What's that group called?
Oh,
what's that one called?
It's the Alumni
Leadership Alumni.
Yeah.
Yes. Yay! Yeah. I made it.
Yeah. That's the
But no, I would just say, just to the other PAX members out there and things, that understand that whatever fitness level that you're at, just do your best and go as hard as you can. We don't know when the time will come for us. We don't know when things will be taken away from us. So enjoy it as best you can, but get out there and work your tail off and get better that way.
Heck yeah. No, that's phenomenal. I love that. And I think the other thing we really want to get from you is, what do you need prayers or encouragement for currently? Anything when we see out there, what should we be asking you about or praying for?
Well, let me get something real quick. It was his birthday yesterday, and this person is my grandfather on my dad's side. Jerry Curry was his name. World War II vet. Went to Cherokee, Iowa. Was a wrestler. Joined the military after his junior year. Worked his tail off afterwards. Wasn't a big smiler per se, but and I always remember him sitting on his chair, rolling up cigarettes back in the day. But it's been 23 years since he's passed away, and we have this picture. And this picture is hanging in all of our Curry households. And it's when he was in high school. It's something. So just remembering him.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's bittersweet. We lost him too early. But I lost both my uncles in the last year as well. One was pretty unexpected. And I know my two cousins that I have, they're both F3 guys, Backdraft and Nutcracker.
Okay. Nice.
They, just trying to spend more time with those guys and, let them know that they're not alone. And, our two cousins followed Scott and I to UNL to go to school, and they live here now and work and have kids. And, prayers for them and prayers for that side of the family. And, we all lose, various individuals around our lives. And, remembering them with a song or a prayer, is always, those messages are heard.
Yeah.
And just being able to do that. But that's one thing for me. I know just because of his birthday yesterday, and thinking about what he means and what he represented in our family, and those types of things would be something I would need prayers for.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that, and we'll be thinking about you, praying for you. And we got to get Backdraft and Nutcracker to post more, right?
Yeah, hey,
I
I
tweet a
know,
lot.
I know. Well, what's funny is that they come out when we keep asking,
Okay.
which is good. I know Backdraft is really close to the Dune, and
Oh.
and the thing is, I've had Mount Olympus, and then I queued main stage, and then the other Wednesday I went out to top rope, and then Mount Olympus. So I need to get it over to the Dune. I need to take him there.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then Nutcracker, he lives up by Fancy Feast, which had just opened, and we took him there.
Yeah.
They just need to be more consistent with it. But my Nutcracker is not a runner. And Backdraft was going to come to Brick Builder, but decided to play in an all-adult softball game, and he was rounded third and pulled his hammy, so he had to try to get a replacement on that aspect. But they'll be more and more. Those two individuals need to they need F3 more than they know, and
Yeah.
we'll keep trying to keep them out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we F3 needs every guy, and every guy needs F3, right?
That is true. That is true.
Hey, man, just thanks for your time today, your leadership, and just your story. I think it's really cool just to continue to meet guys that are trying to be the same person, in all areas of their life, and are leading well too. So just appreciate you, man. Let's do a little name-a-rama.
The what? Name-a-rama?
Name-a-rama, yeah. Here, I'll start us off. Brandon Flehardy, 37, The Plague.
A plague.
Yeah.
Chris Curry, 42, fun dip.
Fun dip. And so double dip does it twice. And
Yes, I'm just one dip, and it's long because I'm trying to go off of slow pitch.
Okay.
We did do a battle of who can do it the longest, and I think it was a tie.
Okay. So you're fun dip and on the eye. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, hey, thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep. You too. Take care, man.
Later, brother.
Later.